one of the most hyped watches of all time. Today we have the Mission to the Moon MoonSwatch for review here on the channel. This is a very hyped watch. It's the one that looks closest to the MoonWatch, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people are clamoring to get this. This, and I would say the Mission to Mercury, both of those look very similar to the MoonWatch. And with good reason. It's obviously an homage to the MoonWatch. It's a collaboration between Swatch and Omega, and they've done a really good job at making it look like a MoonWatch. So let's flip the camera, let's take a look. We'll talk about quality, we'll talk about the watch, we'll do measurements. Let's do a really in-depth review of this watch. We also have the Mission to Saturn. I have that on my wrist today, so we'll also bring that into the review as well. So one of the most hyped watches in recent history, the Mission to the Moon. The Omega MoonSwatch collaboration has been basically a phenomenon in the watch industry, and this has to be one of the most sought after versions of the MoonSwatch, and there's a few different reasons for that, I guess. Its resemblance to the MoonWatch, obviously a big factor in that. These are selling on eBay for astronomical prices that you should not be paying for this watch, but we'll get back to that in just a few minutes. We're going to do a review of this watch. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll also talk about if this is a daily wear. I've been wearing a MoonSwatch for about 3 weeks now, so we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. This is the packaging. It's the same packaging as all the other MoonSwatches that I've featured on the channel. It gives you a little bit of information about the watches, a factoid about the actual planet that you are unboxing or taking a look at. And I'm just going to throw this aside. I already have the watch out. So here's the watch. You can immediately see that it looks a lot like an Omega Speedmaster MoonWatch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think the first thing I have to say about this watch is the good. The good about this watch is that it's designed to look like a MoonWatch. And it does look a lot like a MoonWatch. You have that gray case. Very nice case on here. The color of this case is excellent. It doesn't look like stainless steel, but it gives you the effect that it goes with the whole package here, I think. Then you have that black bezel, you have that black dial with white indices and hands, you have the sunken registers for the chronograph, you have that step in the dial for the minute track. Everything here sort of gives you that idea of MoonWatch. And that's not a bad thing because it's such an iconic watch. The case here measures very similar to the MoonWatch and very similar to all the other MoonSwatches. You have a 41.7 millimeter case. Thickness on here is around 13 millimeters thick, so 12.7 depending on where you actually grab it. You have a crown that is around 6.5 millimeters wide, so 6.5 millimeters, and then a lug to lug of around 47 millimeters, just about spot on, 47 millimeters. 20 millimeter lug width, so you can actually change the straps on here and use other straps. You can even use Omega straps. So these are all good things about this watch. I think those are the best things about this watch. There's some not so good things about this watch. One thing is that the dial is pretty cluttered. Because of the layout of the quartz ETA chronograph in here, it's sort of spread out across the dial. You have a lot of extra stuff that they've added to the dial for really no reason except for branding. So they put Omega and Swatch at the 12 o'clock, extra wording there for no reason. Then you have MoonSwatch, then you have Speedmaster, and then obviously you have those chronographs sort of spread across the dial as well. So it's sort of cluttered. The dial is more cluttered than you would get from a traditional MoonWatch Professional. Obviously, it's also a plastic version of it, but they've put extra on here for one reason or another. Obviously, letting you know that this is a collaboration. They want to make sure you know that with good reason, I guess. So that's the good, and then the not so good. Let's talk about the bad. The bad on here, and something that I've experienced on 3 separate MoonSwatches now, is the crystal. The crystal is made out of plastic and it scratches. Not only does it scratch, it came scratched from Swatch. So all 3 of these were purchased directly from Swatch. I did not purchase them anywhere else. Even that Mars version, I was with the person who purchased it on the day that I purchased my Mission to Saturn. And all 3 of them have scratches direct from the factory. Well, direct from the Swatch store, at least. So this one had scratches in it. I buffed them out. This one has very light scratching in it, so it's not as bad as the other two, but this does have scratches. And I will buff them out as well. I used a Cape Cod cloth. I did a little bit of a 2-week review for this. I've been wearing this for almost 3 weeks now, and it has been actually a really nice watch to wear, but we'll get back to durability and long-term view on this watch towards the end of the video. Speaking of plastic, the case is made out of basically plastic. Now they call it bioceramic. Unfortunately, it's made out of 3/4 ceramic and 1/4 castor oil or plastic. It feels like 100% plastic because it is very, very light. If you gave this to anybody, they did not know about watches or they did not know about this collaboration and what the material was actually called, they would immediately tell you this is a plastic watch. And that's because it feels like plastic in your hand. It does have added durability, they say, from regular plastic, and that's because it does have ceramic in it, and it does. So it doesn't scratch very easily from my experience with bioceramic, but it does feel very cheap in your hands. It only weighs 29 grams, and the strap doesn't help that either. So the strap, I think, is one of the ugly portions of this video that I'm going to get into in just a second. So there you go. So the case itself being made out of bioceramic, which was really feels like plastic and acts like plastic, and then of course the plastic crystal. Now let's talk about the ugly. The ugly I'm going to start with is the misalignments that I have experienced. So this watch has a misalignment not only in the bezel, but in the chronograph hand as well. So this one has a bezel misalignment in addition to a misalignment in the chronograph hand. This one has a misalignment in just the chronograph hand. It is misaligned right. This one is misaligned left. And also the bezel is slightly misaligned left. So it looks like it lines up, but it doesn't. It's actually not aligned with the 12 o'clock index. So everything is really kind of misaligned on this watch. Not terribly, but it definitely is misaligned in one way or another. So that, I think, is part of the ugly. That is a big QC issue, and obviously Swatch have not addressed that at all. And then second is the strap. The strap is very uncomfortable. I'm going to actually put this down for a second and bring in the Mission to Saturn because I've been wearing this for 3 weeks. The strap really hasn't broken in very well. It doesn't feel comfortable on your wrist. I've been wearing it for 3 weeks, as I said. It doesn't feel any better. It doesn't actually stretch at all. The materials that it's made out of is very cheap. It feels cheap. It looks cheap as well. Especially this brown version looks really cheap. And then this is already the Speedmaster MoonSwatch Mission to Saturn right there has already began to fade and discolor. And it does not look good. And I think in a matter of time, this strap will be in the trash bin. If I wear it for a few months, I think this will not last, in my opinion. So the first thing you have to do with these watches is change the strap if you want to keep them on your wrist, because eventually it will fall off your wrist from the strap alone. I think they are terrible. So that's the two things that I think are ugly. The misalignments, which haven't been addressed, and then the straps. The straps is an easy fix because they did give you spring bars on here, so you could actually change the strap if you really want to. So that's a good thing that they did with this watch. That, I will say, is a very good thing. I'm going to do a strap sort of fashion show with these two watches. Both of these are mine. Both of them paid retail price. So I'll do a strap sort of show with these. I'm going to try and get some Omega straps for them in 20 millimeters if I can. If I can't, I'll use 20 millimeter straps that I have and do a little bit of a strap fashion show for you guys. Anyway, then that's really it. I mean, that's the good, that's the bad, that's the not so good, and the ugly. And there's a few other questions that I wanted to answer through this video. A lot of people call them cheap and cheerful. Now, I definitely think that they are cheap, and I definitely think they are cheerful. The MoonSwatch is definitely a cheap and cheerful sort of collaboration between Omega and Swatch. They are cheaply made. They are using cheap materials, and they have achieved a watch that looks good using very inexpensive materials. Now, is this watch priced right at $260? No. My initial sort of take on this was this should be priced at $200. Now I'm sort of changing that tune a little bit. I think this should be sub $200, and I think eventually when these are readily available worldwide and you will be able to buy these online, I think these will eventually sell for under $200 when they are sort of flooded into the market. If they ever do that, I have no idea if they will, but if they do, I think these will sell for sub $200. That's where they should be selling. That's what they're worth. They are selling other bioceramic watches in their lineup for well under $200, and that's where these should be. They're not paying anything for this collaboration between Omega and Swatch, so they're marking these up to $260 US dollars for no real reason. Is this a luxury watch? The answer is no. This is not a luxury watch. Even if you change the strap, this is not a luxury watch. It does not matter what you do to this watch. It is a sort of, I don't want to use the word toy, and I keep on hesitating to use that toy word, but this is an inexpensive way of getting into a fun, interesting, iconic watch at a very low price. It's an entry point for someone who's getting into watches, and I think a lot more people will be into watches because of this watch. And I just wanted to show you guys really quickly the case back on this one. Just has that coin slot right here for the battery hatch, whatever you want to call it. It's all one piece, so this is all one piece of bioceramic. This is actually not a case back, and I'll do a close-up of this so you can see what it says on here. Very nice case backs on these. Just, you could look at it. It looks good, even from the back. They did a really good job. The design in general is very, very good on these watches, I have to say. And I can't really deny that. So definitely not a luxury watch. These are not luxury materials that they have used. In no way will this be a daily wearer for anyone. I think anybody who's wearing this on a daily basis eventually will destroy this watch. So that's really the last thing I want to say about it. This is a watch that you cannot wear on a daily basis because of the materials that they have used. Eventually, you will destroy this watch. Unless you are very, very gentle on your watches, this will not last you a lifetime. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Very quickly, I'm going to throw it on my wrist. Then we're going to do a loom shot, and then we'll wrap up the video. So, like I said, I have a 7.5-inch wrist. This is the Moon watch, and I've always found it pretty difficult to put these on, so I have to put it down on a table because the actual strap is so stiff. You could see that when I fold this over, it's really stiff. And this wears exactly the same as my brown version or taupe version, the Mission to Saturn. This juts out really far. It's really annoying. I try pushing it down, but it never really sits properly on my wrist. Also, the movements are pretty loud. People have complained about that. I've complained about it. I did a really pretty in-depth review of this 2 weeks on wrist, so I will put a link to that so you guys can take a look. But there you go. It looks really good on my 7.5-inch wrist. There's no doubting that this is a very good-looking watch. Really good-looking watch. I'm really impressed with the looks on the watch. Quality, not there, but the looks are. So there you go. Very quickly, I'm going to throw the chronograph on so you can see, and then I'm going to do that, and you can see it does sometimes align on this one, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't think it aligned this time either, but there you go. I just want to show you that as well. But very quickly, let's do a quick loom shot. I'm going to do a loom shot on both of them. I don't know if there is difference in loom between the two. I doubt there is, but let's check it out and then wrap up the video. Well, there you go. I don't know why, but the Mission to the Moon is brighter than Saturn for whatever reason. It's a little bit nicer application of loom. Very strange that they would actually have a difference in loom, but you could definitely see that there is more loom applied to the Moon watch rather than the Saturn watch. Very, very strange. That's it. That's really it. I mean, take a look. There's definitely a difference, though. It's not just my eyes. And I looked at this. I looked at this 3 times already, and I was just like, there has to be the same amount of loom, and there isn't. And this one's fading a lot quicker as well. Very, very strange. I mean, I bought both of them directly from Swatch, so I don't know if that's a QC issue, why both of them would have, either of them would have different loom on them. Makes no sense to me. Anyway, tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm trying to be very thorough about these reviews because I know a lot of people are hating on these watches. A lot of people are loving these watches. like I said in the very first video I did about this, I want to collect all of them. I want every single one in my collection. I just want to have a collection of them eventually. Now, that's personal reasons. I really think they're cool. I know that they are cheap. I know that they are inexpensive. I know that they aren't made very well, but eventually I want to have one in my collection of each different model. But that's just me personally. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.